Before leaving the floor to the rest of my colleagues, I would like to briefly introduce you to the D-EMIND project hosting this series of webinars. Here we have some basic information about our project, the D-EMIND project. It is an Erasmus Plus project, specifically a Key Action 220 project. We are still in the first year of the project. It lasts 36 months, so we have plenty of time until it finishes in January 25. We are, as you can see, 5 partners involved in this project, 4 higher education institutions and 1 chamber of commerce. And some of us have already been working together on a former Key Action 2 project called Foreign Link that we will introduce you later. The D-EMIND project is expected to be contributing to improve the quality education as the main SDG of the United Nations through focusing on 2 main aspects: the digital transformation of our educational systems, in this case the higher education systems, and the development of the entrepreneurial competence using challenge-based learning. The D-EMIND is also associated with 2 higher education priorities of the Erasmus Plus program, that's rewarding excellence in learning, teachings, and skills development, and stimulating innovative learning and teaching practices. And it's also related to 1 horizontal priority of the same Erasmus Plus program, that's addressing the digital transformation through the development of digital readiness, resilience, and capacity. The main aim of the D-EMIND project is to design, develop, and test a digital challenge-based learning methodologies, strategies, and tools for promoting entrepreneurial mindset in higher education. We also have 5 specific goals, aims. The first one is to develop and promote the use of a trans-European platform for CBL, innovation, and peer learning amongst students and teachers. The second one is to facilitate real-world challenges where students cooperate with external organizations to help them to solve these challenges. The third aim is to merge challenge-based learning and entrepreneurship teaching. The fourth is to increase students' capacity to work at international level. And the last one is to reinforce connections between higher education institutions and external organizations to co-create projects and to foster entrepreneurship. To meet these goals, we have 4 project results in the D-EMIND project. The first one is called the D-EMIND Methodology and Self-Assessment Tool. This project result has been focused on further development of the digital sphere of the on-site atom model created in the Foreign Link project. Additionally, based on the conceptual approach of the atom model, a self-assessment tool has been created to measure creativity and entrepreneurial culture among higher education students. The second project result, it's called the D-EMIND Toolbox and Platform, and right now we are working on creating an open free section with a description of the atom model, a digital repository with open resources for promoting entrepreneurial mindsets, and an intranet for easing interactions between students, teachers, mentors, and external organizations. The third project result is the training pack, and this project result will contribute to build the capacity of teachers, students, and mentors to work with the D-EMIND methodology in higher education institutions. And the last project result is the D-EMIND MOOC. We will work on developing a massive open course for students, teachers, and mentors, and this MOOC will be structured, at least we expect it to be structured, in 7 main units, 1 for each component of the atom model, and 1 additional unit focused on mentoring for teachers and any other key external agent interested. We would like to invite you all to visit our website, where you will find a short description of our project and some of the project results that we already have almost finished. And that's all from my side. We will go now with Denmark to discover the next step project and the Foreign Link project. As I already told you, at the end of the webinar, at the end of all the presentations, we will have some minutes for exchange and for share some ideas. So, Meret, Annie, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And while Merete is starting sharing our PowerPoint, trying to share our PowerPoint anyways. Den er ikke på. I will say welcome to the Innovation House. Prøv at stoppe og del, og så del igen. Kan du ikke det? And we already forgot how it was under Corona, so we have problems just sharing the PowerPoint. We did so for 1.5 years, but I don't know why it doesn't work. I don't know. I don't want to spend the time, så må du lige kæmpe med at få den til at virke imens.
If you send it to me, Merete, I can try to share it for you if you want.
We can. Let's see if it works.
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
That's perfect. So the two projects that we will address is Forum Link and our incubator Next Step. And why we are starting sharing this is related to what David was talking about, because the model that we now are transforming into a digital environment is based on the model that we developed together in the project Forum Link called the Atom model. So this is what we're going to talk about. And who are we? Yes. So who are we?
I'm Merete Langeland. I work as a project coordinator most of the time for Annie.
Yeah, I'm head of this small innovation department at UCN, where we are located at the moment. You see a sneak peek of the innovation house now. And some of you already visited us here. Yes. So 4M Link means for an entrepreneurial mindset link. Yeah.
And it's actually the project, a 2-year-old project that we made before the D-EMIND. So it's actually the base for the D-EMIND project, where we, with these 4 partners, work together on the Forum Link. And the difference from the partners we have now is that Scotland or Great Britain were with us at that time, but because they left, they had their Brexit, they couldn't join us for the next part.
So what is the output?
There
What
were
was
3
the output? Yeah.
There were 3 outputs. We had to do a methodology where we made the Atom model, and we had to make a handbook and a digital platform. And we succeeded very well with them all, as you will see in a minute.
Ja, men det skal bare lige skifte. So what is the Atom model? It's simply a model how to manage the challenge-based learning. And I'll go through it very fast because we only have 10 minutes together. But if you want to go more into depth with it, you can go into the website and it will explain every element and every spheres in English in the platform. And it's all for free. We like that in Denmark anyways. So the spheres is around the Atom model, and it's the atmosphere that will warm up for you to go into a creative and innovative and entrepreneurial learning environment. And within the spheres, we have a mental sphere, which is the mindset, and therein you have activities in regard to warm up for going into the 6 elements afterwards. You have the social sphere, where you have a lot of activities that is related to how is the social environment, because if you don't have any good relations, you cannot go into the innovative process with your students. And then you last have the physical sphere, and that's what's changed in the new project, but more about that later. The physical sphere is how is the room and the learning environment made out, so you can foster and facilitate the innovative process through the 6 elements. So this is warming up to going in through the 6 elements. Yeah. So what are the 6 elements within the Atom model? The core of it all, like also David was addressing, is the challenge-based learning. And in the core of the model is also the challenge. So it's very important which sort of challenge you work with, because that influences the rest of the elements. And that's why we placed it in the core of the model. And what could it be? It could be a lot of things, both small and big scale. And we tested a lot of different approaches to what challenge-based learning could be, and that's the interesting part. It can be it's cross-disciplinary. It can be from different sciences. It can be from real-life cases, companies, and so on. So when you go through the element, there's first of all you need to explore You interview, observe, you find data, you read about the subject that is in the core of the atom model. Once you collect the data and knowledge, you analyze the data and get to know more about what is the challenge that is addressed. That's the knowledge part of the challenge-based learning. And then you start in regard to the challenge that you address. You're starting different kinds of exercises and activity that is designed to get the students to think new solutions for the challenge. So what is important when you choose a challenge is that you don't have an idea of what the solutions should be beforehand. So you can get students to authentically ideate around the challenge and get new solutions for the challenge. Once you have ideated, the end of that process, that can either be very long term, it could be a week, it could be a month. I've been doing both when I was a teacher, and sometimes you can even do in half a day. So depends on what challenge and what time you have during your lessons. Once you ideate it, you choose, you get the students to choose one idea that they want to prototype. So prototyping for many people is very material, and you can build it, but it can also be a service or an immaterial idea or solution that you want to prototype. So in the prototyping phase, you start building, you start conceptualizing the idea you choose in the former phase. And once you have the prototype, you can start testing it, realizing it, testing it in real life. For example, if the challenge was addressed by a company, you can go back and get feedback on the solution and the prototype from the company. So even though it might, with the numbers, seem like a linear process going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is still an iterative process where you once in a while, for example, if you have a prototype, you take it to the company, you get feedback, and they say, well, this part of it works and this doesn't. Then you might have to go back and ideate more to get another idea. So it's not a linear process, it's an iterative process, but it's just easier when you're a teacher looking at the model to have the numbers and have a more linear approach, especially when it's your first time trying to use the atom model. Last but not least, you have the evaluation part, which is twofold. One part of the evaluation is, like I talked about before, you present it, and the students go and present it for the ones that address the challenge. It can be testing it at customers, if it's a health challenge, like we have a lot at the moment in Denmark. It can also be going to the hospitals, whatever. And that's one part of the evaluation. The other part of the evaluation is what the teachers need to develop their teaching, so they get an evaluation of the innovation process. Yes.
In the second work package, we have produced a handbook. In the handbook, the whole methodology is described, but on top of that, we have produced, I think that's the next slide, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We have produced more than 123 activities, and these activities are connected to each phase in the atom model, and that means that it's like a guide for teachers that you for free can take down and actually go into each phase, and you might get 5 or 10 activities to go through with your students, and they are very exactly describe how to do it. So it should be very, very easy to go for everyone, even if you haven't taught in innovation and entrepreneurship before. You can still just go ahead with the book in your hand. This is an example of how it looks. Each activity is built up where you're told each step all the way down how to do it, and you're told how many minutes, how many students you can have, and what materials you need for it. And on top of the page, it will say what the goal is.
Yeah, so pretty much every 120 activities is built up exactly the same. So once you know one, you will be able to use it again and again, right?
Yeah.
So the last part we are invited to talk about is the next step incubator at UCN, because our challenge-based learning and innovation camps in different educational areas. It's health, technology, business, social sciences. We have innovation camps based on challenge-based learning. And that sometimes it's entrepreneurial solutions, but sometimes it's also entrepreneurial solutions. And for that, we built a program called Next Step, which is our cross-disciplinary incubator at UCN, located just in the other room from where we're sitting now. We have the entrepreneurs from all educational areas. And what we built, the structure of the Next Step incubator is that we have, once they come from youth education, we have the new step. The new step is a lot of courses that you can book and get out to each educational institutions at UCN. So you can book to inspire creativity and innovation. Then we have the Next Step program, which consists of different approaches. We are very small institutions, so I think altogether we have 2 times a year, 2 semesters where they can go into the next step, and once is spring and once is fall. And then we have the future step helping the ones that want to be entrepreneur. It's not for everybody, but the ones that want to go, we help them to get a foundation and funding and so on. Så husk, vi startede senere. Yeah. So how can they join the next step? The technology and business student can go in the internship in their own businesses. Remember that UCN is applied science, so internship is a big part of the educations. For health science students, it's a selected course they join, and for teachers and social educators, it's extracurricular. So it's different approaches, but they are sitting together in one course, which is pretty amazing, but also challenging for the students. Yeah. So we have 4 different tracks. We have a startup cafe, also here in the innovation house, where they can drop in the afternoon. Then we have a course for the ones that only just develop an idea through the whole process. Then we have already students that have a revenue stream, and we have an upscale program for those. And at UCN, we have a lot of online students, so there's also a digital course for the online students sitting abroad or studying abroad. Yeah. And we have a lot of external partners from the businesses and the business offices and all over the place to make it an internship. Even though they stay in education, they are very closely linked to companies and business offices to get that experience too. Yeah. And part of this is the team of the teachers within our next step. And part of the success, I think, is that we have teachers from all educational areas. Yeah. And like I talked about before, we also have students from all educations. There's only one education we still not succeed to have a student from, and that's the, what you say in English, birthwives? Normal. Midwives, yeah. Sorry about my English. Yeah, I think that was it from us. Or did I forget anything, Merete?
No, I think that's it.
No. I heard you, David, that questions was not now will continue, and they can be able to ask us in the end of the session, right?
Yes, it could be an option, but you prefer to have questions right now?
Yeah,
I think that maybe at the end of the
questions.
webinar, yes, we can have some minutes. So thank you very much, Merete. Thank you very much, Annie. It was very interesting to project. So now I think that Katrin van Del from University College Limburg, Belgium, will introduce the AINS project. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well enough.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Let me try
Hello.
to put my camera on as well. It all works. Yes, I'm Katrien from UCLL, so in Belgium. And I wanted to share a little bit about the AINS. People pronounce it differently. And it's one of the first slides to share a little bit more background on the name, where it comes from, because there is some confusion on that. Let me try to share and see if that works.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Let me just put this up here as well. Yeah, now it should work. So yeah, EINS. You see already in small a lot of letters. So let me share a bit of context what it is. So with UCLL, we are part of a European University Alliance, which is called UDRES. And that alliance, it's a network of, it started with 5 higher education institutes, and now we are with 8. A network where we share, collaborate, and where we kind of want to form a future university with a lot of focus on entrepreneurial teaching and creating an entrepreneurial mindset. What is a bit typical for those higher education institutes is that they are, for most parts, in the more rural areas in those countries. So it's not the higher education institutes in the capitals, but for example, one of the partners is in Portugal, and it's the Setúbal University. In Austria, it's in St. Pölten, the Fachhochschule. Belgium is very small, so it's quite difficult to get very rural. But one of the objectives of UDRES is really to strengthen the more rural areas, and really making sure that also the businesses in those areas can also benefit from the knowledge and the collaboration. That's a bit on UDRES. Heinz is kind of a little brother or sister to UDRES, and it's the Innovation Network for Smart and Sustainable European Regions is the abbreviation for it, but it is supporting really innovation and business creation. So for example, we focus a lot on how can we support student entrepreneurs. So really students that want to start up or set up their business while they are studying. Or that want to start up a business right after they finished their degrees, and as well, how can we support those businesses, startups in our regions that we are in. So that's a bit the network. UDRES, where it stands for, I forgot to say that because there are a lot of to the powers in it, but it stands for a European Engaged University as a driver for European Smart Sustainable City. So it's a lot to say, but it's what I wanted to say in the beginning, that we really focus on those more rural areas, how we can support and strengthen those. And yeah, one of the examples of what UDRES is doing for students and really creating that entrepreneurial mindset is, for example, shared hackathons, where from the different countries students participate, try to solve cases or problems and really collaborate together. But I am from UCLL, I work on EINS, so I wanted to share a bit more on that because that goes even further and really that innovation and business creation. So with EINS, you see here at the bottom our partners in the countries. It's 5 higher education institutes and then one external agency. It's called UIIN, so University Industry Network. So they are a bit in between the industry and higher education institutes and try to optimize learning sharing between the two kind of worlds. If you have any questions in between, I know we have time at the end, but you can always put them in the chat and we can see when we can answer those. So with EINS, what we do is, on 2 sides. On one side, we focus internally on the students, the staff, how can we share, collaborate on that front. So we do some inspiration sessions. So for example, we share testimonials of entrepreneurs that are doing things a bit differently. So more sustainable social entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. So to put kind of role models for the younger generation there of showing that everybody can actually entrepreneur. And also inspiring chats as well, and to share things on that. We also organize open lectures. That's the target is there mainly staff. Students can attend as well, but also external. So they're open, they're free lectures around different topics as well. Some are a bit more on university policies, how can we change that? But others are, for example, on circular economy. So how can you entrepreneur in a more sustainable world? So what are tips and things to share there? So the topics are quite broad, but they're open for everybody. And then on the other side, so one side is supporting really student staff internally. The other part is more externally with startups in our region. So how can we help and support those more so that they can grow and really strengthen the regions as well. An example of the activities that we did for students is a pitching event, for example, where from each of our countries, from the higher education institutes, one student team participated and a jury member as well from each of those, so that we have had a nice international mix of students and jury members. We did focus on a specific team, so that also for the students, it was nice for them to meet like-minded people that are working on similar businesses. So it's really students that are having a business idea in mind or that are already executing those. The focus here was again on sustainable or social businesses. So you see some examples here from second time around. They are trying to upscale, upcycle and selling products that they are recycling. You had as well Global Green, which was focusing more on sustainable energy. So still quite broad territories, but they have that common thing in mind of making the world a better place. And it worked really nice because they could learn from each other. They got feedback from the jury, and we already see some collaborations happening with students from UCLL, from Belgium, with their shop the second time around, are selling products that in Romania are made with leftover oils from cooking. There is a girl who's making candles from leftover waste from oils, from oils. She's making candles, so that the students are really working together. So that's nice to see that they learn from each other. And also in that pitch event, because we really wanted to focus on collaboration, learning from each other, we didn't make it a competition, but a really learning experience. And it's one of the ways on how we try to educate and inspire students and give them some advice at the same time. Another example of the activities we do with EINS, more focused on those external companies, is we are creating open innovation hubs. So EINS is not finished yet, so we are still working on some of the elements. But one thing that will come up soon is the launch of our digital hubs, where all of our partnering higher education institutes are taking the lead on a certain topic, and we then built an innovation hub around that. So for UCLL, we are leading one on digital health and social innovation. So UCLL is leading, but we are partnering with another higher education institute from Latvia, just to share again and learn from each other, and really making sure that we can strengthen each other. And with that hub, what we want to do, the overall vision is improving healthcare and social welfare through digitalization. And we decided to really focus on 3 key challenges that we see here in Belgium around our community that we could benefit from. So bringing care from hospitals to homes, preventing and proactive health instead of curative and recreative health, and inclusiveness of the aging society. And what we want to do is, through our hub, our international network, really sharing, facilitating, and bridging to develop solutions for that. So an example that we do is we invite startups from the different regions around our institutes, and we set up a knowledge event where we share some information on topics that are relevant for them, but where they also get the chance to meet each other and to discuss and just learn from each other as well. And another thing that we do is, for example, a buddy system between our institutes, again, around the topic of digital health, but where researchers in our institutes can also connect and learn from each other, share experiences, and trying to make impact with their work. So that's a bit it. What 2 examples that illustrates the both sides of what we do at EINS, internally for the students and then also externally to strengthen the startups that we have in our regions. I hope that that's clear. I know questions are, I don't know, you can type, and otherwise we can answer them at the end.
Okay, thank you very much, Katrien. And finally, we have the presentation of the C3 project by Dominic Kretschmar and Julian Spratet from the University of Applied Science of Düsseldorf.
Yes. So I will share my screen. And you should see my screen, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty good.
So perfect. So sorry that I came in all the time again, but I had a very short technical issue here because I just had a black screen, but now everything works quite well, hopefully. So thank you for the opportunity to present this CE3 project. In this context here, CE3 stands for Cross-Border Entrepreneurial Energy Education. My name is Dominik Kretschmer, and I'm from University of Applied Science in Düsseldorf, and we were the lead partner of this Interreg-funded project. I will show you the setup and some challenge during the project, and my colleague Johannes Spratte will give you some insights from a participant of view. The overall goal from the project was to create awareness of cross-border entrepreneurship among students at a very early stage. And to get an idea of the size of the project, the budget was 1.5 million euro, and it started in 2019 and last year. We were a consortium of 4 higher education institutes and 1 KMU who support us with some project management skills. The activities can be divided into different kind of tracks: networking, non-financial support, and financial support. And I will give you some short insight in each of these different categories in the next slides. At first, for us, the most important part of the project was networking, the networking aspect, and the biggest and most successful events in this project were the 3 C3 boot camps. This was hackathon-like events over 3 days in present, and during Corona, we do it 2 days online. We try to address all students in a very early stage I mentioned before, and therefore we need to have to manage some challenges. Like we have, on the one hand, we have new students who need new challenges, new skills, but we have also in each of these boot camps already existing teams. And for the new students, we have to manage that they are very high motivated student and interesting topics. And so we built some very small applications for each students who want to participate in one of these events, and for the teams the same. I show you on the right side a example agenda for one of these bootcamps, and as you see in the headlines, we have 3 different topics for each of the days. The first day is just to getting to know each other, and it was a lot of just having fun to arrive at the event and talking to each other, getting to know what is the project about, and then also go with all together to the old town in the end, or something like this. In the second day was about giving them a challenge, so they are already knowing each other and can work together. And now we give the new people a challenge from the industry or a challenge from reality, put them on tables, and they can go around the tables, look at the challenges, and build teams around these challenges. On the other hand, there was also the opportunity that new students who came to the event without a team can join an existing team. Then the last day was going cross-border, because one of the main goal of this project was bringing the people together, crossing border, the Dutch people and the German students. There was one big challenge. On the one hand, finding the right students, finding the right teams, and that they are getting to work with each other. Because when you have the existing teams, normally they directly stick together and working on their own challenges. And so we try to figure out what are the main challenges of each of these teams are, putting and cluster them with different head topics, as you see here. For example, business models or finance or marketing, for example, and put one of each team to one of these tables with one of these challenges and let them work together so that they get in touch with each other. To get there a better insight, I have here a short video. I hope I shared my screen with audio, so please let me know if you hear audio. Do you hear audio?
No, not at all.
No?
Yeah.
The interesting part is that cross-border offers the opportunity to students and institutions to see different realities, to interact with one another, and to have the possibility to increase the cooperation now at the student level and further on in the future at the industrial and ecosystem level.
It's good to see that the students really grow here and that the connections help a lot to get them to think bigger. So also across the border, so sometimes the business model is only about, oh, I have this cool thing for the Netherlands. And now they also, oh, okay, yeah, maybe also go to Germany and oh, maybe, so think a bit bigger and it's...
So the next point or the next activity, what we did were workshops, so entrepreneurship competence development. Therefore, we have different kind of workshops. You can see here some of them on the right side. They're going from very special ones to very general ones, like storytelling, for example. But we also provide coaching for specific questions for the teams when there was a bigger team who are have a specific question for financing or building a business model, so we can address them directly. And the last point here is we provide them an Entrecom framework development track from one of our partners. They build up out of these competence framework from Entrecom a workshop format. This was very nice because we have this year with cross-border student teams in Germany. It works very, very nice. If you are more interested in it, just Google Entrecom. It's very interesting for entrepreneurship education. Here are some more insights in 3 different workshops.
En dan nu wat meer over de workshops. Vanaf mei 2019 hebben we vanwege de lockdown diverse online workshops georganiseerd in het kader van cross-border interactie tussen onze Duitse en Nederlandse studenten. Zelf was ik als lector innovatieve ondernemer van de Zuidhogeschool verantwoordelijk voor de workshop Design Thinking. Deze was voor studenten die in de idee-generatiefase van hun op te zetten bedrijf zitten. In de workshop leerden ze de fase van het proces van design thinking en het gebruik van creativiteitstechnieken. En wat nog als schuchter begon, het online snuffelen aan elkaar met de typische Duitse en Nederlandse vooroordelen, eindigde in een soort online vriendenclub, ondernemersclub, die morgen een volgend ontwerpvraagstuk zouden oppakken. In de workshop Management Game, eigenlijk de Management Game gedurende 3 dagen, ging het om het trainen van de fase uit de marketingstrategie, middels gamification. De studenten speelden in samengestelde teams op een wereldwijde jeansmarkt en ieder team vertegenwoordigde een internationaal bedrijf in een zeer competitieve markt. En studenten speelden en oefenden met technieken die gingen over doelgroepkeuze en positionering in de doelgroep. Deze workshops oefenden studenten met tools die helpen bij het implementeren van een marketingstrategie in een opstartend bedrijf. En het was geweldig om te zien hoeveel nieuwe dingen ze leerden en ze deze toepasten. En terwijl ze ook nog een keer met veel plezier het spel speelden.
Last but not least, we provide also financial support for the teams. And we have there quite small vouchers with 250 euros to very big vouchers with 15,000 euros. We build around these voucher process, a transparent and structured process for give away these vouchers. And as you see on the left side, there was a small voucher, was more like for this ideation phase, and it was a very short application because at first we're struggling with the amount of information the students have to give us to get these vouchers. So we built up a short application and the bigger application for the full voucher. It was more for the concepting phase, and you need a full application, and the full application is a little bit like a small business plan where you have to show us what you have to do with the money and what's the next steps, but also who is the team and why you are sure that you have all the skills you need for your project inside the team. You have this post-activity report on the left side. It's a report what they have to hand in for after each of these vouchers, where they show us what they did with the money. And also there was the opportunity to get a follow-up vouchers with a post-activity report and put in this post-activity report, we need more money for the next step, whatever they want to do. And there it was more like committing and validating, and the high performance voucher was different. It was by nominating from the evaluation committee. For each of these steps, we have their scoring metrics and the evaluation committee of 5 members from each partner. And as you see, we have different advice for each of this category, and the cross-border category here is the most important ones, because again, it was a cross-border project and we really have to focus on what are they trying to do to go in cross-border with their idea, with their team, or if they want to build up a cross-border team in the end. In the end, we support more like 60 teams here, a lot of them with more than just one voucher, and a couple of them are already there. And what was one of the biggest challenges, for example, here, but also for the boot camps, was that during Corona we have to switch everything to online and in the digital space. And when we are trying to do it with the bootcamp, it was a very hard game, because to give the students the same space for collaboration, like we did it before with the Nike space, giving them some places where they can sit down and talk to each other, was much easier than to build this up digital. So I'm very, very interested also in this D-EMIND project and what they came up in the end. So now I want to hand over to Julian.
Yes, thanks. I try to take over control. Was it possible? Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yes.
I want to give you some insights from a student's perspective, from my point of view. I was taking... No, it doesn't work. Did it came from my click or from your click?
From my.
Okay. Then I will say click every time.
Yes, okay.
Okay, yeah, I was in from the beginning on. I took part in the first bootcamp, but without any idea, just to get in touch with entrepreneurship. And so in the first bootcamp in Eindhoven, I was part of forming a team, developing an idea. It was heat mapping. And heat mapping was to make some supermarkets more efficient with getting some sources of energy waste and identifying them. So we got some support from coaches, and they were specifying our idea, and we got a small voucher for testing, but it was a try and error. So we figured out that it's not that interesting for us. And then the second time I did it differently. I had a specific idea. I had a team partly already in place. So click, please. Our idea is, or was, to bring an energy self-sufficient pelletizing plant to the global south. To produce pellets from grass, as the people in the south, like Madagascar, do not have any chances without access to electricity to cook with electricity. So they have to use wood and charcoal. It's very inefficient, it's unhealthy, and also a big loss for biodiversity, because the wood and the rainforest is nearly dying out. So we developed a system with a sustainable stove that produces charcoal, a kind of plant core you can use as a fertilizer. And so we have a sustainable cycle, which is able to save carbon dioxide during the process of growing from the plants and by saving the forest. So we got further support from the coaches, and we got first voucher. Please press. Click. And with the first voucher, we purchased our first components like the pellet press and a hammer mill, and we founded a non-profit company. And with the non-profit company beside, we also did a crowdfunding to cover the other costs we had here. Please click. Then with the follow-up voucher, we got some more electronic components like inverters and frequency converters, and also these containers, because we will bring in shipment containers our pellet plant down to the African countries, because in one container we have the full energy supply, in the other container we have kind of a workshop to keep the factory running at site. Please click. With the next follow-up voucher, we financed the steel components for the facility at site. So you see here the pellet machine, and also with the crane and with the containers integrated, we are producing these pellets. And with another click, you see that we already started in Madagascar to bring in some basements for the production down there. So with our high performance voucher, we covered the travel costs, the basements here, and also of course the electricity supply with photovoltaics and battery storage, beside our donations we got and beside other fundings. And now we are in the growing process for 2023. That means we are installing our pilot plant in Madagascar right now, and we have further requests from other African countries. And we also like to set up a resilient biomass supply chain here in Europe for different businesses, and that's with the main focus of cross-financing the development cooperation we already set up in Africa. So that's from my side as my student point of view. Thanks for your attention, and for questions, we are ready.
Thank you very much, Julian. Thank you very much, Dominic. So as we promised you, we have now some minutes, actually 10 minutes. If you have any question, anything that you would like to ask to our presenters, or anything that you want to share with us. You can use your mics, I think. You can use your cams, or maybe if you want, you can use the chat.
I don't know. Yes.
Yes.
To Julian and Dominique, thank you for a very interesting presentation, all of you. I'm especially curious to know these sustainable businesses, how far are they for the market, or are they already at the market? It's quite interesting with the sustainable business models and the camp you did, or the hackathon, or whatever it was, the cross-disciplinary camp. Are there any of the businesses that are already on the market now, or how far are they from actually being realized?
Yes, a couple of them are on the market. There's not all of them are not sustainable, because what perhaps was the other challenge is that in the beginning it was very hard to just find energy specific sustainable companies. And so we're switching a little bit to focus on they have something to do with sustainability, but can also have, for example, a sustainable business model in the end. And there are things I think I know right now at least 5 of them are really growing at the moment, and a couple of them are still small, but they're still existing. And of course, I think half of them just was a try in the end.
Yeah. But that's quite an impressive result. I mean, all of them learned a lot about innovative processes and sustainability at the same time, and you still have some that already made it to the market. Quite impressive. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. We have one hand raised from Valdenildo Pedro da Silva, could be. Can you mute your mic? I think the Valdenildo also left a question in the chat. He's asking if is the promotion of entrepreneurial skills in higher education important due to the current employability crisis? I don't know if any of you want to answer, Valdemiro.
May I just say something about it? I think we're not talking just about entrepreneurship as building a business. I think it's very, very important to keep in mind that entrepreneurship is the capability to solve unknown problems by your own. You have to know what you can, what do you need, where you get it from, and how to solve this problem in the end. I think this is one of the most important skills for everybody. Doesn't matter what they're working for their employability in the end. So I think it's very important.
And to expand on that, I see that 1/3 of our entrepreneurs go into an existing company and make value there. 1/3 will go with the businesses that they were part of when they were at the incubator, and 1/3 will go with another business in the future. But what it's all about is not what we call intrapreneurship, right, Dominic? That's what you're talking about. The intrapreneurs is just as important as the entrepreneurs. So I think both is what we are educating to. In Denmark, we don't have an employability crisis, but maybe we will in the future. I don't know.
We have in Spain this kind of problems, but actually we are from educational sciences schools, and our students usually don't tend to create business. So our approach is what Dominic was trying to explain. I mean, our approach is that we try to promote this kind of skills and competence inside the schools or institutions, organizations they are already working on. So you can use also some of the ideas we are sharing here today to create a business, or just to be entrepreneur inside your own institution, to be creative. Any other question? Jan-Louis de Bruin?
Yes, from Belgium, one of the close partners of UCLL Diepenbeek with some of my colleagues. I have a question about this, the whole project and the whole the entire learning value you built up. Is it going to be available for in the phase of knowledge transfer to other partners, or how is that in this project? Is that available? I mean, do you have a kind of a learning package or tooling which you say this can be an abstract tooling which with others could have insights into and learn and apply implement as well in their own degrees, or what's because I missed part of the session. My apologies for that. Is that a clear question, or
are you asking for the D-EMIND project or for?
No, in general, about what you
general.
say, you have showcased a lot of flows in the entrepreneurial skill building and how you educated with your student, how you developed your degrees, much more with the entrepreneurial skills building. That if there is going to be a kind of a road book or a tooling that other partners or institutions of education could use, or wasn't that one of the objectives, by the way? Maybe it's not, could be.
I will answer, David, maybe?
Yeah.
For the D-EMIND project is an Erasmus Plus project, so every the whole package is available for you. We're working on the different packages, and on the website you can also find the platform, the tools, the MOOCs, and then you can use it in your own classroom. So for the Vormling project that Merete and Annie presented in the beginning, there is already a handbook with a lot of tools for the design thinking methods you can use already. So, and also for the other project, the UDRES project, the EINS project, and I don't know for Germany, I think also that information is public, and we can share it with all the participants here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Good answer, but nice project and nice, I would say, results
you.
as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have a new question from Eva. Sorry, I don't know. Esvedorova, maybe something. She's asking. She's interested in assessments and evaluation and how to approach those. I don't know if maybe Meret or Annie from the Fremling idea. We have an evaluation element, I think, in the atom model. Do you want to try to answer, Annie?
Try and ask again.
Yes,
sound
the question is, she's
bit.
interested in assessments and evaluation, and she's asking how do you approach those assessments and evaluations?
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, maybe if I can ask you directly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Eva Švejdová from the Czech
Yes,
Republic.
could be better.
Well, as an educator, of course, like we have very interesting contents, innovation, entrepreneurship, etc. Then the approach, like the didactic model, is also extremely interesting and interactive. Thus, I do believe that we cannot approach with regular assessments and evaluations like we are used to in teacher-centered learning. So I'm very interested, how do you approach those?
Yeah, so it's a longer discussion, and please feel free to contact me afterwards since we have 1 minute, but it's so interesting what you're asking for. Because if you go into both the link platform and also what we made in the D-EMIND, we are trying to make a more learner-led approach also to the evaluation or the assessment. So it's also self-assessment, the tools that we're building, and it's peer-to-peer assessment tools. So you are totally right. Then it matches the didactic of the whole circle. And it's also more diverse in the sense that when you work with challenge-based learning and you work with real-life challenges, you also sometimes need to do the assessment with authentic audience. So it is the companies that are giving you feedback on the solutions that you made. So on different levels, it's self-assessment, it's peer assessment, and then it's authentic evaluation from the partners that made the challenge or suggested the challenge. And especially within our health education at the moment, we have really, really good results with letting the students work with some of the big issues we have in Denmark with health. So it's really interesting to see, like Dominic and Julian was also talking about it, a sustainable area, but we feel it also in the health. It's impressive, the results that they can make. And when they get an evaluation from the health sector, they really learn. So it's not so much grading, it is, but it's more the other parts that are important for developing it. If that was some of it, the question, Eva.
Absolutely, thank you very much. And I'm definitely going to stay in touch. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So it's now 4 p.m. So it's supposed to be finishing the webinar. I don't know if we have any other question. If not, we can leave it here. Thank you very much for all of you for attending this first webinar. We're waiting for you for the next 2 webinars that we have in the D-EMIND project. You have all the websites in the chat, the Foreign Link website, the D-EMIND website, the UDRES website. So anything that you want, you can contact any of us in any moment. So thank you very much and have a good afternoon.